Thank you so much for the kind introduction and welcome and good morning to everyone. Apologies, I could not be with you in person this time round, but I've been with you in that room some years ago. I have fond memories of Health World, which we are happy as MedTech Europe to continue supporting. Ladies and gentlemen, as the CEO of MedTech Europe, it's my pleasure to speak to you today on behalf of Europe's medical technology industry. An industry which is absolutely central to what most of us believe is one of the most important things in life: good health. There are more than 2 million medical technologies out there already supporting us in our daily lives. These technologies are there to prevent disease, to diagnose disease, to treat disease, to monitor and manage disease, and, where possible, to cure disease. They make our lives healthier, they make our lives happier, and they make our lives more independent. And they are continually getting better. Thanks to the enormous innovation power of this industry, healthcare professionals and health systems in Greece and elsewhere in Europe and beyond are able to save and improve the lives of more and more patients each day. And so I'm very, very proud to represent a sector with this much dynamism and innovation potential, because it is so pivotal to the future of healthcare, so we can continue to meet healthcare's evolving needs. So it's my pleasure today to talk to you a little bit about what is currently driving, moving, and sometimes concerning the people who work in this innovative sector, because these people care very deeply about how they can continue to meet their mission to Europe's patients. The first thing we must all remember is that Europe has for a very long time been the global epicenter of medical technology innovation, thanks to its very rich ecosystem of cutting-edge research hubs, academic institutions, and national healthcare systems, which, despite their challenges, are founded on the principle of access to care for as many citizens as possible. It's really quite unique in the world. And because of this, Europe has been our industry's historic global epicenter for innovation. And that innovation is extremely substantial. In the medical technology sector in Europe, our industry is filing a new patent for a new product design or innovation every 30 minutes. There'll be one done by the end of this speech, and there'll be countless more done by the end of today. We're second only to the IT sector in terms of how much innovation we are patenting each year. And this innovation dynamism is testament to the commitment our sector has to keep saving and improving the lives of more and more people. But we must remain mindful that the world around us is changing. It's changing in Greece, it's changing across Europe, but it is also changing globally. Regions such as North America and increasingly the Asia Pacific are charging ahead, intensifying their competition, and in some cases, they are drawing medtech innovation away from Europe, where it has historically come from. And when I say these regions are intensifying their competition, I'm not just talking about the competitiveness of those regions' industries. I'm also talking about the way in which they are reimagining their healthcare systems and the way in which their governments and public policymakers are trying to embrace industry and facilitate the innovative mission of industries like ours. Europe does not exist in a vacuum, just as Greece does not exist in a vacuum. We must be extremely mindful of how we sit in the world versus these growing regions I just mentioned. So for Europe to not just maintain its historical edge in life sciences, but to expand a leadership position it's enjoyed for so long, it is really imperative that we work together to confront the many challenges facing our industry's competitiveness, because these challenges do impact the well-being of Europe and its citizens. What are these challenges? Well, one we've talked about in the past is the still adverse nature of so many policies and regulations in Europe, whether they come out of Athens or whether they come out of Brussels. Europe loves regulation, and regulation is needed. We know that in healthcare. Regulation is needed for public trust, and it's needed so that there are harmonized rules for all good players in the system to follow. But when regulations are continually built on each other, one after the next, the result can be a level of bureaucracy for companies, which is almost impossible to manage, even for the big ones. And that complexity and bureaucracy does have a direct impact, both on the cost of innovative technologies that healthcare systems need, and an impact on the time it takes for those needed innovations to reach the market and start touching the lives of European patients. So we need to make significant improvements to this, whether it's in the medtech space, the pharma space, or anywhere else in life sciences. For instance, after some years, it is now widely accepted and agreed across the stakeholders that changes and improvements must be made to the EU's regulations on medical devices and in vitro diagnostics, which were published back in 2017. Despite good progress to implement these regulations, there are ongoing implementation challenges which make bringing technologies like medical technologies to the market more complex, costly, and unpredictable than they need to be. So we need to bring improvements urgently to those EU regulations. And we must continue to grow on the growing body of laws and regulations in other domains that regulate healthcare, like regulations on the sustainability of healthcare, like regulations on digital health technologies like AI, and so on or so forth. Now, don't mistake me. We're not calling for these laws and regulations to disappear. Healthcare will always be a regulated business, and rightly so. But what we all need, is for real work in all the countries and across the EU to minimize and reduce complexity as much as possible. And we need more synchronization or coherence between all the different regulations affecting the healthcare business, so that the industry can continue to serve health systems in a climate of legal certainty and predictability. Beyond regulation, Europe also has work to do in other areas. For instance, to properly invest in the future of its workforce. And I'm not just talking here about the healthcare workforce, which is facing challenges all over the world. I'm also talking about growing skills shortages in cutting-edge areas, like in the fields of data science and information communication technologies, so that the benefits of scientific research and advancement in these areas remain available to medtech innovators and other life science innovators, not only to the worlds of social media and consumer goods. If medtech innovators cannot access that increasingly important expertise right here in Europe, they will inevitably need to try accessing that expertise in other regions of the world. And it's in everyone's interest to keep that expertise strong and accessible right here in Europe. So Europe is strong and attractive for medtech. It has been strong and attractive for a very long time, and it remains strong and attractive. But the world around us is changing, and wherever we are in Europe, we must work together to help Europe keep its innovation edge. And as MedTech Europe, our vision for the future is built upon 4 pillars that will guide us towards a more patient-centric, digitally advanced, resilient, and sustainable healthcare across Europe. Firstly, healthcare must remain focused on the needs of the patient. As I said, we cannot let unnecessary bureaucracy, regulatory risk aversion, or even national austerity policies prevent patients from accessing life-changing treatments or therapies that she needs to live the life she expects. We must make early access to innovation for patients a core goal of our efforts, and that includes cutting red tape, speeding up and harmonizing value-based procurement initiatives, and increasing funding to address the looming healthcare challenges, like the workforce challenges. Secondly, we must not forget that the future of healthcare is digital. Europe has a very unique opportunity to lead when it comes to digital and AI-enabled health technologies. But this requires significant efforts to enhance digital health literacy across the healthcare system. It requires harmonized, predictable regulation, and it requires investments into a unified digital health and health data market. Thirdly, we must step up to ensure that our healthcare systems remain resilient and prepared for future crises. We cannot simply forget about the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and pretend that such unpleasant events never repeat. Unfortunately, they do, and they repeat not always when we expect or how we expect. But we do know we can always do better to be prepared next time these challenges happen. So we need to draw from our experience and build robust, diversified supply chains, not simply localized or onshored supply chains, but diversified supply chains, which are resilient to shocks. We need to step up emergency planning for joint procurement when that is justified. And we must focus on preventive care so that people have more places to go to than just the hospital. And finally, sustainability must be at the heart of our healthcare transformation. We need to tap into the synergies of the green agenda and the digital agenda to increase system efficiencies and sustainability performances of our healthcare systems. This is a real wish of more and more European hospitals, of more and more European policymakers, and more European citizens. And Europe is stepping up to the call to go first and show leadership in this domain. But it's important to get it right. And that means, from an industry perspective, we need realistic transition pathways so that companies can continue innovating and bringing the needed improvements to MedTech products that healthcare systems expect, while maintaining the highest standards of patient care. Neither of those things must be compromised as we embark on the journey to make the world greener and to make our healthcare systems greener. We need to excel in all those areas. So patient-centric, digitally advanced, resilient, and sustainable. These are our 4 visions for where European healthcare needs to go next. And it's an exciting time to be embarking upon this. There are changes of government in many countries. There have been elections here in Brussels, and a new generation of policymakers are entering the office very, very soon to take Europe forward, also in the healthcare space. And few industries have as much growth potential or dynamism or importance to people's lives than life sciences. But that potential only matters when it is actually realized, exits the labs, enters the market, enters the healthcare systems, and touches the lives of real patients, not just elsewhere in the world, but here in Europe. And we all have a role to play in ensuring that Europe's innovation and investment landscape continue to enable the potential of medical technologies and other health technologies across the life sciences. So let us please continue working together for innovation that improves people's lives while contributing to the sustainability of our environment, the sustainability of our health systems, and the sustainability of our economies. Thank you very much for giving me the floor for these minutes, and I wish you all very continued fruitful discussions for the rest of Health World 2024. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bisazza. I'm sure that you have a lot of work with all this change with the policymakers in Brussels and everywhere else. As you mentioned, regulation, yes, is needed. However, regulation, I think the constructive regulation comes out after an in-depth and open dialogue with all the stakeholders, including, of course, the business and the industry. So we look forward for an open dialogue, and let's hope that it will be constructive and with good results. Thank you again, and have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Έχουμε ένα μικρό διάλειμμα.